Tonight on CFTK-TV News, we have an update on a Northwest BC couple making a big walk. There's more news on the situation involving the Chilcotin River, and we have word on yet another landslide happening in BC.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cal Baslett, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. Starting today in Kitimat, the Tamatik Cooling Center will be available to the public at the Tamatik Arena, as outlined in a press release from the District of Kitimat. With temperatures expected at over 30 degrees for the rest of the week, the public is encouraging citizens to stop by as relief during the ongoing heat wave in the Terrace Kitimat area. There will also be washrooms, public Wi-Fi, and water and snacks provided to those who do stop by. The center will be available from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. during Wednesday to Friday. More information about the center is available at the District of Kitimat's website. The couple walking from Prince Rupert to Prince George to raise awareness for children in the care of the ministry have made it to Smithers. CFTK-TV's Jaylene Matthews has the update.
Kim and Jordan Joseph are a couple that both grew up away from their parents in the care of the ministry. They've now lost the care of their own children to the ministry and are doing an awareness walk for all children and families in this situation that are working hard to reunite. According to the federal government, Indigenous children in Canada represent about 54% of children in care, despite making up about 8% of the child population. The government says that too many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children are being removed from their families and communities and separated from their cultures and languages. However, Kim and Jordan Joseph write that their children have not been placed in Indigenous homes or communities, nor have they been placed nearby. Despite reports of soreness, stiffness, exhaustion, and blisters, Kim and Jordan have now walked the 348 kilometers from Prince Rupert to Smithers. While one walks, the other drives alongside. Kim and Jordan took some time in Smithers to rally outside the courthouse with supporters and were working on getting a tire fixed before they take on the next leg. This marks just about a halfway point in their journey, as the next stretch is another 327 kilometers to Prince George. For CFTK TV News, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
The worst-case scenario for the release of water at that landslide on the Chilcotin River has been avoided, but there is still a dangerous amount of water and heavy debris flowing downstream. CTV's Ben Nisbet now with more.
As the muddy, raging waters of the Chilcotin River eroded the bank beneath it, this historic cabin perched precariously before disintegrating as it crashed into the swift current. There it joined tons of debris, mostly trees and logs, being swept downstream after a natural dam created by a landslide gave way and released the lake of water built up behind it.
We do have to assess where that debris accumulates and whether there's a likelihood of public safety risk related to that debris.
There's nothing to pass on to my children and grandchildren.
Blood, sweat, and tears built and sustained Jane Eagle's ranch on the banks of the Chilcotin, where her family has worked the land and raised cattle since the 1880s. Monday, the rushing waters washed away a significant portion of the property.
We know it so intimately. Every tree, bush, berry bush that we pick from, all our spots, all the places that we have memories are gone.
Despite Eagle's loss, the province says the release happened slowly enough to avert the worst-case scenario of debris and rushing water roaring towards communities downstream.
The further you are away from the landslide and the larger the Fraser River is, the less likely that surge is going to be as extreme for somebody standing next to the water.
Still, the destructive power of this rushing water and the debris it carries cannot be ignored, especially for local First Nations who rely on bountiful salmon runs for sustenance.
So we're the river people, and yeah, the fish is probably part of who we are, part of our identity, our DNA.
Given the scale of the slide and the power of the water, they cannot help but be worried about what it means for the wild salmon.
Coming up next, we learn why there isn't much of an update on Vancouver's Integrity Commissioner. Welcome back. Another landslide has come down on the Sea to Sky Highway north of Whistler, cutting off traffic between Pemberton and Lillooet. It was triggered by heavy rain and buried a portion of the road. CTV's St. John Alexander is along with Highway 99 with the latest.
In fact, they've closed a long stretch of the highway. To give you an idea, we are just north of Pemberton here, and the actual landslide is another 45 minutes up the road. Every inch of the road is covered in mud, debris, and anyone who comes near this scene is told to go away immediately. The landslide was triggered Monday night, and that same car that was trapped, the images posted on social media, is still stuck. At the edge of Pemberton, 20 minutes before Joffrey Lakes, Highway 99 is officially closed.
We drove about 15 minutes and they told us there's a mudslide going on and the road's closed for about 24 hours. It's really frustrating. We've hired a car for the day. We've spent all our time getting up here, as has everyone else.
We just planned to go to Joffrey Lake, but we came here and see the news you just gave us, and we saw the stopping sign there, so it's quite an unfortunate day.
This is only a few kilometers away from a deadly slide in November 2021. At least 4 people were killed. Now, a geotechnical assessment is underway, not only to see whether the highway can reopen, but whether it's safe for crews to begin clearing debris.
It's been an ongoing thing all the time, and this here piece of highway is probably one of the worst in BC, because of the fact it's up in the high mountains, eh?
For now, and until further notice, the only route between Pemberton and Lillooet has been cut off again. And in fact, all along the road, there are signs warning about avalanches, warning about the potential for debris falling. St. John Alexander, CTV News, north of Pemberton.
We are no closer to learning what the City of Vancouver plans to do with its Integrity Commissioner. Council has deferred a vote on a review of the watchdog's role to next month. CTV's Martin McMahon shows us why.
From the baseball cap-wearing mayor in the chambers to a fist-bumping councillor outside, it was a different sort of day at Vancouver City Hall.
Well, it feels like this whole thing has been politicized. This is all about political theater.
At a bare-bones meeting Tuesday, council deferred a vote on reviewing the role of the Integrity Commissioner's office to September. Just 6 council members attended the meeting. Everyone but Mayor Ken Sim appeared virtually after a boycott from opposition councillors. Sim argued a recess was necessary because Councillor Pete Fry had filed a complaint with the commissioner and notified council about it over email.
The rules are, if there's an Integrity Commissioner complaint, you do not mention the complaint. These things are not public. And so those rules are in place, and, Councillor Fry chose not to follow them.
Well, I think this is, obviously the mayor is attempting to sort of distance the story and distract from the story. There's nothing inappropriate that I've done as far as the Code of Conduct and the Integrity Commissioner.
This all comes after the commissioner published an unflattering report detailing various goings-on at City Hall. It noted the mayor's chief of staff made efforts to discredit Park Board Chair Brennan Bastiovansky.
For me, I feel vindicated that the reports show that the evidence against me to smear my name was manufactured by the mayor's office, and for them to be cowards to try to hide that investigation. I'm so pleased that it came public.
The decision to defer a review of the Integrity Commissioner's role means she is still entitled to carry on her work for the time being. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
People in Calgary are cleaning up following a major hailstorm that damaged thousands of homes and wreaked havoc on several communities. Large chunks of ice tore through siding, dented vehicles, and smashed plenty of windows along the way. CTV's Mark Villani has more on the aftermath.
Oh no!
What?
Back for the windows.
Calgarians braced for the impact.
I was saying it felt like this is how the apocalypse is going to come.
Hail rained down on the city Monday night. It caused flash flooding in some northeast neighborhoods. Hundreds of vehicles were damaged in the process, and city crews are doing everything they can to repair power lines. Jason Schoffer described the storm as if his house was hit by bullets from a machine gun.
The siding's all potted. Looked like somebody took a Uzi, went through it. All right, in backyard, you can see the vegetation's toast.
Others had their windows smashed, fearing for their safety.
Everything was just shattered. Like the sofas were wet, the floor was wet, everything was wet.
The storm surged into Calgary, scattering across the city's northeast with winds gusting up to 100 kilometers per hour. Low atmospheric temperatures aided in the creation of hail all the way up to the size of baseballs.
If it's lower, we get bigger hail because the hail can, stay in that below freezing part of the storm a little bit longer.
Those massive chunks of ice are also destroying local farms. Mohammed Eldaher lost his entire crop. The Syrian refugee says his greenhouse sustained more than $60,000 in damage, destroying 7 years of work in less than an hour.
I never seen before it. It's first time to watching it, how it's heavy and it's strong.
You look at the fava beans, it's completely flattened. The chickpeas, it's like it's broken. It was just going to be ready in 1 week. Everything destroyed.
But all that can be done now is to clean up the aftermath following a storm that's left many wondering how long it will take to rebuild.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast should deal with periods of drizzle and a low at 12 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area will see clear conditions with a low at 17 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District also is set to have clear skies, but with a low at 7 degrees. On the North Coast, the week for them should see mostly clouds with a tad bit of rain and sun, as well with the high bouncing between 15 and 20 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the upcoming week will see pretty much all sun along with a little cloud and a high shifting between 34 and 23 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the next week or so will have a bit of clouds dispersed throughout, but we'll see sun otherwise and a high moving from 33 to 27 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is a special travel advisory, utility work, bridge maintenance, construction work, road maintenance work, and crack sealing, with the Usk Ferry being out of service due to the low river level. On Highway 118, there is some bridge construction. Highway 37 has some bridge maintenance, road sweeping, and other maintenance. 37A has maintenance too, and there is some road sweeping on the Nishka Highway. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the View of the Province's highway cams. Still to come, stocks have managed to recover relatively quickly after taking a big plunge. Welcome back. Not long after global markets took a plunge, stocks have managed to rally. CTV's Andy Bergeron-Oliver has more on what's behind the market's recent bout of volatility.
After the market's worst loss in almost 2 years, Wall Street opened higher today, bringing some calm to investors.
What we saw yesterday was Christmas comes early. It was blood in the streets, meaning people were being way too overreactive.
Yesterday's stock market sell-off capped a 3-week loss of an estimated $6.4 trillion in global wealth. The worst of those losses triggered last week after new U.S. data showed lower than expected job creation and higher than expected unemployment.
The United States is the biggest market in the world, so when the United States sneezes, the global market tumbles.
But today, some recovery. U.S. markets surged and markets in Asia closed up double digits.
It's still a bit hard to conclude that the sell-off is fully over. Investors are still very sensitive.
The next round of inflation data and job numbers will be crucial to help divided economists decide whether the U.S. is really heading towards a recession. Another big variable, whether the U.S. central bank finally cuts rates.
There is a degree of notion that, maybe the Fed's been cutting too late. And I think it is that fear that no matter how big the cuts are, it's not going to start or stop, essentially, in this case, nosedive in sort of the labor market condition. But we think that's at this stage incredibly overblown.
Unlike U.S. markets, the TSX, which was closed yesterday for the public holiday, continued its drop today, driven by lower prices for gold, as well as major stocks, including RBC, Enbridge, and Shopify. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
She made history in the pool in Paris and returned home as an Olympic hero. Swimming sensation Summer McIntosh is back in Canada after her record-setting performance at the Olympic Games. CTV's Mike Walker has more.
Returning home to fanfare, the feeling still surreal for Olympic champion Summer McIntosh.
I don't think it's fully sunk in yet. I wasn't expecting it necessarily, but I mean, it means the world to see everyone's support for me and Team Canada.
The 17-year-old swimming phenom from Toronto arriving at Pearson Airport this afternoon after a historic performance in the pool at the Paris Games, winning 3 gold medals and a silver.
First time standing on the podium in the former I am and hearing the national anthem and seeing the Canadian flag was pretty incredible.
Her accomplishments record-setting, becoming the first Canadian athlete to win 3 gold medals in 1 Olympic Games.
It means the world, and I'm just very proud of kind of how all my hard work has kind of come into the light.
Her parents overjoyed with a near-perfect week in Paris.
It was amazing to watch Summer compete and really live up to her full potential. It was absolutely incredible.
The most meaningful medal, McIntosh says, is the gold she won in the 200-meter butterfly, the same event her mother competed in at the Los Angeles Games in 1984.
The fact that my mom swam the 200 fly back in 1984 Olympic Games, and for me to get the gold medal in 2024 Games is pretty cool for sure.
We're so proud of Summer, how hard she's worked, and all her hard work's paid off. I mean, as parents, you can't be more proud. And
McIntosh also matched teammate Penny Alexiak for the most medals won by a Canadian athlete at a single Summer Games. Her eyes already on the 2028 Olympics, but first, the triple gold medalist is looking forward to letting her accomplishments sink in.
I can kind of enjoy this moment and appreciate all that has happened in the past few weeks.
Focusing on being a teenager again and celebrating her 18th birthday later this month.
Mike Walker, CTV News, Toronto.
A Nanaimo man with a knack for throwing hammers came home also as an Olympic hero after winning gold in Paris over the weekend. And as CTV's Andy Garland shows us, Nanaimo is now known for something other than just its famous dessert.
Ethan Katzberg of Nanaimo hasn't come down from his emotional high of winning an Olympic gold medal 2 days ago.
Crazy whirlwind of emotions and excitement, and it's been an incredible journey.
And that Olympic journey started here at the Nanaimo Track and Field Club.
Our dreams came true.
Before he was a teenager, Ethan was here, spinning his way to the top of hammer throwing excellence, and was coached by his father.
He had the size for it and was very powerful.
A South End community of Nanaimo where he lived is showing their support with this sign that has been updated throughout the Olympics.
Lots of community support everywhere. Everyone's so excited for him.
That includes the Wolf Brewing Company in Nanaimo, who beer it forward and allow people visiting to buy a beer for anyone they'd like. To date, 3 pints of their Golden Honey Ale for the Golden Boy are waiting.
Some of our patrons have bought him a beer to come in and celebrate and bring in his medal and meet the people of Nanaimo.
I think we may find now that even the Nanaimo bar might be upset by Ethan Katzberg's fame.
Winning an individual Olympic gold medal is unprecedented for someone from Nanaimo, and the city is looking to plan a celebration for Ethan and his Olympic achievement.
Winning something like this is extraordinary. The city is obviously taking great pride in it and getting a number of emails saying, what are we going to do?
Nanaimo Track and Field is expecting more interest in the sport of hammer throwing and athletics because of Ethan's success.
It's very inspirational to athletes. I think it will encourage a lot of our throwers to keep throwing.
Ethan hopes it'll also shine a spotlight on the sport he loves.
Some more attention to a lesser known event in athletics. I think it's really great for hammer throw in Canada.
And if there's any indication that it's working, look no further than these youngsters out on the same field that produced an Olympic gold. Andy Garland, CTV News, Nanaimo.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is up 19/10 of a cent. The price of gold is up 80 cents. Oil is up $2.03. Natural gas is up 10 cents. Aluminum is up $46. In Toronto, the TSX is down 98.41 points. The Venture Index is down 8.94. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 234.21, and NASDAQ is down 171.04. Still ahead, more allegations involving Canada at the Olympics have emerged. Welcome back. Sexual assault allegations are plaguing Team Canada at the Olympics. The Canadian Olympic Committee revoked the accreditation of Raina Ryder, the personal coach of sprinter Andre de Grasse, before a very important race. Here's CTV's Scott Hurst with the good, the bad, and the gold coming out of Paris.
One of Canada's top athletes, Paris 2024 flag bearer Andre de Grasse, is losing a coach as he continues his defense of the 200-meter sprint title.
This is a huge blow to him as well, especially already after not making it to the Olympic final in the 100-meter for the first time in his Olympic career. I think this is kind of the last thing he needs.
The Canadian Olympic Committee has revoked the accreditation of Raina Ryder, coach of the 6-time Olympic medal-winning sprinter. The COC in a statement saying, "On Sunday, August 4th, we learned of new information about the appropriateness of Mr. Ryder remaining accredited by Team Canada at the Paris 2024 Games. In discussions with Athletics Canada, it was agreed that Mr. Ryder's accreditation be revoked." The Canadian Olympic Committee did not clarify specifics on the new information. However, according to UK publication The Times, 3 female athletes have accused the sprint coach of sexual and emotional abuse. In a statement provided to CTV News from Ryan Stevens, Ryder's U.S.-based attorney, it says, "It's a bad day for the Olympics when a governing body's fear of bad publicity is prioritized over the athletes. Coach Ryder has no pending sanctions against him by any governing body. The ones who are being hurt in all of this are the athletes suddenly forced to compete without their chosen coach, including one of Canada's finest sprinters. None of the allegations have been tested in court, and Ryder has not been charged with the crime." In the meantime, Canada is golden again. Richmond, BC's Cameron Rogers winning the women's hammer throw competition. This is the second Olympic Games for the 25-year-old reigning world champion, but first time on the Olympic podium. On the hard court, disappointment for the Canada men's basketball program. Back at the Olympics for the first time in 24 years with podium expectations, now out of the Olympics. They lost in the quarterfinals to France. With Canada bumped from the tournament, the host nation will now face Germany in the semifinals.
North Vancouver's RCMPs say they've arrested a man for the breaking and entering of an Airbnb last month. They say a family from the United States was unloading their car at the property and had left its rear door open. Police say CCTV footage showed a man stealing several items. They say a man they believe responsible for the crime was arrested, but was released until his October 23rd court appearance. Burnaby RCMP say a suspect has been charged for a 2023 arson. Police say a 33-year-old man is accused of setting fire to a loading bay at a business in Metrotown Mall in February last year. Burnaby RCMP say the fire damaged a loading bay and commercial trailer, and investigators for the detachment's economic crime unit got surveillance footage before identifying the suspect. Police say the charge was approved by prosecutors back in May, and court records say the man is due in Vancouver Provincial Court on August 12th. That is all of our news for now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Thanks for watching.